Have you ever wondered whether the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment, and acted from that place?
Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your hosts Brian Berneman and Kayla Greenville, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world.
We're here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers.
From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I am Brian Berneman, your host, and for this episode I have the pleasure to be joined by Kevin Roth all the way from the US. And thank you so much, Kevin, for taking the time to be here with us and to be able to share what you are bringing into this world. And before we get into that, I would love it if you could introduce yourself to our audience and share a little bit about you.
Okay, well, first, thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's nighttime here, and it's daytime there, so it's nice to see the sun at night. So I am a musician and a life coach. And I learned an instrument called the dulcimer when I was 13, which I have here, and that's what this instrument is. I'll play this for you a little bit later. And I've had a recording career, and I have about 50 albums. My whole music career you could find on my website, www.kevinrothmusic.com. And I believe that everyone is born with a longing, and the longing is to get back, or at least we think to get back to whatever God, consciousness, whatever that is for you. It's where we came from and where we're probably going back to. People who have near-death experiences talk about this being a sense of being home. And I believe that all of us are looking for that ultimate love and happiness all our lives. And we think that it's in people, places, and things. And it's not. So my whole music career was based on trying to get as rich and famous as I could so that I would be happier. And that failed miserably in the sense of happiness. I did get kind of rich and kind of famous, so that part worked. But I couldn't figure out, no matter how many concerts I gave or how great my career was going, why I was so unhappy. I mean, I wanted a record deal, I got it. I wanted a TV show, I got it. I wanted over $1 million, I got it. And I would sit in my hotel rooms after concerts, having received, standing ovations and all this stuff, and think, why am I so unhappy? I picked the songs. I was happy giving the concerts, but for years and years and years, I just was on this search. I went to different gurus, I went to shrinks, I tried everything, and nothing seemed to work until 2016, when I was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma cancer, which is not curable at the time that you and I are speaking. And they gave me a death sentence. They said, you're not going to live past another year or two. Well, what they did really is they removed a lymph node and a little spot on my nose. But they said that there was a 70% chance it would come back within a year. So I had a year to wait to see if death was knocking at my door, even though my gut told me it wasn't. A year is a really long time to think about your fate. Mm-hmm. If you think about when you go to get a blood test and you're nervous and you have to wait a week and you go crazy, well, try that for a year, right? So I thought, if I'm going to die, I better find out what I want to do with my life that I have left. Now that was 7 years ago, and I have no cancer, and it never came back. And I think I know why, and I think I know why I got it. And the reason I believe I got it was because stress and inflammation causes cancer. And I was very stressed out, and I was 30 pounds heavier than you see me today. And so it all piled in, and it was a spiritual kick in the ass. So what I ended up doing is I thought, you know what, I have to figure this out. And I thought, well, what really matters to me? And that was music and my dog. Why does it matter? Because I'm an artist. And what do I want to do with it? And at the time I was living in the Midwest, where here in the United States, they're kind of, they're not that exciting, a bunch of people. It's less expensive to live there than in California where I live now. I wouldn't say they're boring because they're nice people, but it wasn't. I was living there working on a project. And I said, you know what, if you only have a year or two left, you better go somewhere you really want to be. And that was here in San Diego, California. Because here, the ocean's here, and within an hour you can be in the mountains. And it's just exquisite. I go hiking most days. So I started to form a story in my head and started to envision what my life would be. And I had done this with my music career, so I knew it worked. Meanwhile, I didn't know that people talked about this stuff, but I saw myself more spiritually in tune, happy, successful, financially well off enough that I gave most of it to charities because I don't need it. And not because I'm rich, but because I live a very simple life. And I kind of walked into that life. And then when I got to California, I wrote my first new album in 5 years. And it's called The Deviant Dulcimerist. It's on my website, and I loved it. And it's been very, very interesting ever since. Right before COVID hit, about 6 months before COVID, someone suggested I become a life coach. And I didn't even know what it was. But he said, if you could teach people to do what you did to overcome cancer, to go from almost bankrupt because of a business adventure and really unhappy and on shaky ground to this life that you're living, you should do it, because that's really incredible. And bring your dulcimer along with you to do it. So I began to get some clients, and I discovered that as a personal coach, I'm very unique in the sense that I combine spirituality, science, psychology, and day-to-day boot camp living in one, so that what I do is I teach people how to deal with the ups and downs of life. And that life is really an illusion, it's a dream, which sounds very woo-woo, but there's scientific facts that back that up. So if you don't believe in this woo-woo stuff and you believe in science, I can show you science that says the same thing. And I also will teach people who are into Jesus or Buddha or Jewish or Islam. I don't care where. I can work with all of those people because I've been around all of those people. And I teach from my own experience. I didn't take a course in teaching. I teach how I live. I don't have a lot of clients because I don't want a lot of. I'm not interested in being a rock star of coaches. I don't want to make $100,000 a month. My purpose in life is to evolve spiritually and like you, to help those that show up and to keep it as surrendered as I possibly can. But it's an extraordinary life in the sense that it's amazing And it's also like living in the Twilight Zone.
What a wonderful mixture, and what a wonderful journey that you've had so far. I mean, it's there's so much there that I think that it's really interesting how, for many people, there's this conventional path that we're being taught or conditioned to follow, as you were saying. Like, you were good with your music and you're like rich and famous, and it's like, is that fulfilling? And that is something that I believe there's lots and lots of people in society nowadays that are in that. They are perhaps well off and really stressed out and really unhappy, and they don't know what to do. And I find it interesting a lot of times. I with a lot of my workshops and with a lot of the people that I work with, a lot of times one of the things that I say is, why wait until hitting rock bottom? Why waiting until the moment that you have, like cancer, or where you like something really, really drastic happens? Because that, for a lot of people, is the catalyst for change, if that can happen. And my point of view is, why wait until then, when I can question my life, when I can question my beliefs, when I can question, why am I here? What am I doing with my life? And, I think that when you were sharing about having that life sentence, in a sense of like that 1 year, and it's like, and that's all that you have to live for. I used to practice, and I was really practicing for quite a while, the belief that this is my last day. I'm going to bed tonight and I'm not waking up. So how am I wanting to live today? And that really helped me to look a lot into my tendencies and to look a lot into how I was being with myself, with the people around me, with everything, thinking this is the last day. And I think that not many people are faced like what you were, with a potential of, you're dying whenever this might happen. And it gets one to question life, and that can either make you or break you, in a sense. And you chose the path of discovery and the path of finding more of your way.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are born seekers, and when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So I was born a seeker. My whole life I was like that. My father was nothing like that. He never questioned what happens when you die. He just wasn't in his thinking. I think being an artist and a creating kind of guy, I know that I don't write the music. There's no way that I can just play the way I play without reading music, or write lyrics and they come rhymed, they come ready. Where does that come from? People don't even think about where they come from. I asked him, where'd you come from? Well, my parents had sex and I was born. I said, seriously? That's as far as you'll go? Well, I don't know. I said, well, don't you think you want to know? What is this? Do you know? They say in science that the universe is expanding, but into what? People say, well, my mind is, I just can't get it out of my mind. Well, where's your mind? And they say, in my brain. I say, it's not. You can't find a mind. You can't hold a mind. There's no such thing. It's consciousness. So what is that? So it goes, the farther you go down the rabbit hole. I have some clients that are scared to death of it, so I don't go there. I have other clients that go very, very deep into the spiritual teachings that I teach, which is based on Ramana Maharshi and something called Ajata, Ajata. But wherever people go, they go. I'm not. I don't know everything. I'm learning. I'm still a student, and
Yeah.
but that's how I roll.
I want to ask you, Kevin, about music and about that uh, creativity or that creation of it, how it is for you. Because I have, talked with many people that create art, and they all have a different type of experience of where it comes from, and like and how it's then like materialized. How is that for you?
Well, do you want what kind of answer do you want? Do you want the deep one, or do you want
The deep one.
the book cover? You
the,
want the
the
deep
deep
one.
one.
I kind of guessed that. Well, the deep answer is that nothing exists except God. I am. So there is everything that we see, everything that comes is a dream. So literally nothing exists. What appears to exist is the dream, which is mind ego. But if I were to ask you, if you said, well, I have trouble with my ego or my mind, and I said, well, bring it to me, I want to talk to it, you can't find it. So the whole thing really comes down to substratum and this thing called I am that I am. In the dream that we're experiencing on some level, which isn't real, but we're experiencing it, the music comes as from something I call the muse, which is consciousness. What's interesting about it is that it doesn't come all the time. It taps very subtly in me and says, there's a song. So I was out walking my dog the other day and I saw rain. It was right after a storm on rose petals. I'd never seen anything like that because it looked like crystals. And as I was walking my dog, I looked at that and I thought, looks like the roses are either crying in sorrow or laughing. And I saw petals on the ground and I saw new roses open. And I walked back in the apartment and something said, hey, I got a song for you. And this beautiful poem came and I wrote it, and then the music came and it was beautiful. I'm not the kind of songwriter that can say, okay, I have to write a song today. I mean, I tried the rhyming dictionary, it doesn't work. So it has to come, it has to come from me. It has to come from that source. And it comes like a dictation. And it also comes from being open. So when I started to play the dulcimer, I never had a teacher. So I just played it the way I wanted to play it, which is why I got the reputation of being one of the world's most innovative players. It's to this day, I mean, I've been doing it 50 years, so some people call me a legend. I think when you get old enough, you become a legend anyway. But the reason that I got that reputation is because nobody told me that there was a way to do it. So spirituality is the same thing. Someone may say you should meditate this way, or you should pray this way, or you should read this book. In the end, you have to read yourself. You have to surrender and you have to ask, who am I? All the books are pointers, all the teachers are pointers, but you have to contemplate this.
Yeah.
And even Bob Dylan, who I think you know of, knows that he doesn't write the songs. So the whole thing is mysterious. But everything is mysterious. There's nothing that makes any sense because according to quantum physics, string theory and all this stuff, none of it exists. Right? So what's interesting about all of this, and I'm glad we're able to talk about it because you get it and your guests get it because they listen to you, is that before I knew about this would sound like just utter bullshit. This is just like woo-woo. Like, what are you talking about? You say you were not here. I'm talking to you, dude. What are you smoking? But when you look at science and you read the Upanishads or some other deep spiritual stuff, what seemed crazy, let's say if this seems like reality, and then this is the Upanishads and the science, this becomes normal and this doesn't. So it's like walking around in the Twilight Zone because it's insane. It's like, oh, I don't have to get upset. I don't have to worry about fame or fortune. I don't need to do any of that. I just need to be, and things will take care of themselves. Yeah. But the mind wants to get caught up in things. So if let's say a client comes to me and they're feeling stressed, or they're feeling stuck, or they are feeling anything really, they want a job change, they come to me with this anxiety and these questions, they feel lost. And so what I do is I teach people on a practical level, and I say, you know, when you change the way you look at things, things you look at change. And when you replace what doesn't work with something that does work, why would you go back to what doesn't work? So like I turned my phone off. That was one of the best things I ever learned to do, because now I don't have to listen to anybody unless I want to hear them, right? So I check it, but I don't keep it on. So once I gain their trust and they see by doing this and this in their daily life it makes sense, then I take them further. And then I teach them a little bit of spirituality. And you know, I have, just as an example, I don't talk about clients much, but I have one client and she's very successful and she just wants to make more money and more money and more money, but she doesn't know what she wants to do with it. She wants to make the money, to make more money. And I said, where's the joy? What do you want to do with the money? Well, I don't know. I want to invest it. So you want to make more money. So it's like going to a smorgasbord of food when you're already full. What's the point? Can you sit down for 5 minutes and not check an email or a phone call and just be? Well, I don't know. I can tell you, you can't. You cannot. But try it this week and see what that's like. And when they do, it's like, wow. You know? So sometimes you need to hit that wall to really grasp it.
Yeah, and I love something that you shared about the mystery. I believe that life is a mystery. Like life works in mysterious ways. Whether one wants to call it life, the universe, God, consciousness, whatever. And what I find fascinating about that as well is that in this mystery and what seems to be chaos, there is creation, and we can co-create, and we have a choice, and we can choose to see things outside of the box. We can choose to do things out of our comfort zone. We can choose to do things differently. And the more that we do that, there's an easier understanding on how to play this game of life.
Yeah.
Because, as you say, like, what's the goal? Like, what's the goal of someone making money? Well, I remember some years ago talking with someone about that, and it's like, well, I lived for some years in a Buddhist center where money wasn't a thing. So for me, money didn't have the importance that it had to other people, because I actually didn't use money. I had a roof, I had food that someone else was preparing, and I was doing my practice and I was doing my work, and that was all that was required of me. There is this exchange of energy and giving and receiving that is very different. And when I came back to society and I started to use money again, it was a very interesting thing in terms of that success or having a lot that, it was kind of like, well, if I can do things that don't require money, why do I need more? Like, why would I chase more? Why would I want more clients? Why would I want to potentially get to the place that my schedule is full, or that I cannot choose every day what to do just because I need to make money? Money for what?
Yeah, everything that we want in life is all leading back to what I originally started to talk about, the longing. We're all looking to be connected to what we're already connected to. We're like fish in the ocean looking for water.
Mm.
You know, now there's nothing wrong with having money as long
Mm.
as you understand what it's doing. But if you're gonna stress yourself out and do all kinds of things, you're not going to be happy. So take losing weight, for instance. I've been on diets my whole life until I discover fasting. But you can't get anything simpler or cheaper, right? And everyone says, "Oh my God, you look great. What did you do?" And I said I stopped eating. "Oh my God, didn't you starve?" No, I didn't completely stop eating. I did intermittent. So there's very simple things. So in looking at it from a daily perspective, when someone says, "How are you so successful doing what you do? You were a Buddhist. I mean, what does a Buddhist do? Where's your degree? Yet you're living in a nice apartment. You've got this podcast show. Like, what's up, dude?" And you say, "I followed my heart." It was that simple. And they scratch their head and they go, "Yeah, but like, do you have a 401k?" So, I talk about that people work their whole lives to get to 70. They retire, they paint the house, they see the grandkids, and then 5 years later they drop dead. So what is the point in doing something you don't like?
Mm.
But then you get into fear and you get into not following who you are, and all the things that gave me cancer and all the things that make tons and tons of people around the world ill.
Yeah, and I think that there is something with that it's really interesting. I see there's a shift. There's a shift in consciousness. There's a shift in what's actually happening, and more people are actually starting to question their life choice, and what they are doing during their day. And I see this more and more, people actually not doing the things that they are supposed to do, or getting into fear so much. And of course there's a whole lot of people that are stuck in that. Yet at the same time, there's a lot of more people that are waking up and are actually starting to be more attuned to what they are and who they are, and
Yeah.
then taking actions that are aligned to that, instead of what society tells them that they need to do. This is why there's a lot more people, and I see this all over the world, that especially after this pandemic, that they quit their jobs just because they weren't happy there. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
and someone can't get stuck in how will I make money? And it's like, well, this is the balance. And this is, of course, I work with a lot of people, and this is, how do we work on having and tapping into our inner resources to be able to deal with all of those things that come up as we make different choices. Because as we make different choices, then different circumstances arise, and then we need to be prepared for that. So being skillful in how we act and how we make choices as well, so that our daily life is not entrapped in that fear.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And go
People
ahead.
think, or people tell me, it's really hard to change. And I say, not really. It's harder to stay where you are because you're not happy. And the number one goal of everyone is to be happy. So, I had a friend the other day say, "Well, I get lonely, and I used to get lonely too. I'm at a point now where I can stay home and make myself a really nice meal, hang out with my dog, and listen to jazz. I'm never really that lonely because I date myself. You know, I know where I want to go. I know what I like. You know, I don't argue with myself. So when you become happier and contemplative and you figure out what works for you, things begin to fall together.
Yeah,
But you have to have the intention, the desire to do this. And have the
definitely.
patience and perseverance, because there is no answer that ends. It's not, no one hands you a diploma and says, okay, you're finished now. You know, there's endless infinity to know about, right?
Definitely. And one of the things that for me I resonate a lot, and this is one of the things of why I think that what you do with the dulcimer is so amazing, is that for me, one of the main things that, in a sense, I attracted, or it came, I don't know how it actually happened, but was the world of sound, and the world of sound as a practice, and the power of the sound, both using my voice, using practices like mantra and chanting, and as well using instruments like singing bowls, and to be able to use them as a practice of connection, a practice of meditation, a practice of being present, and to be able to bring my energy and my vibration to a different place. And saying that, I would love to, if you're up for it, since you have your dulcimer there, to share with us a little bit of some sound.
You want a little dulcimer, huh?
Yes.
So I'm going to have to lean this screen down so you can see what I'm doing a little bit. So the dulcimer is very easy to play. It only has 4 strings. I have these tuned in a tuning that I call dulci meditation. And the notes are very simple. So it's very easy to play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger pick a little bit of this dulci meditation. So if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're home, you can close your eyes and we'll do a little bit for you. So that's a little of it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin.
You're welcome. And I teach this over Zoom to people who want to learn it. And what I do with it is that when you play something very, very, very simply like this, where you don't need to read music and you're just kind of jamming on it, at the same time you're playing it, you ask inside, what should I do or what's bothering me? So I have a student that has had trouble with her son, and she doesn't know what to do with him. So she was playing her dulcimer and dulci meditation, and I said, I want you to ask inside, surrender and say, what should I do with Timothy? And what came to her, because the mind goes to the music, it won't argue. It's like trance, like a baby. And the inner voice is allowed to speak. So it's like lullabying your mind and giving the mind a little toy and saying, okay, go in your corner and play. It's not around to say, you tell that kid if he does. So what happened is the answer that she came up with was, or what she was told through doing the Dulce meditation is, do nothing. Invite him to suggest what he wants to do and why. And she felt very peaceful. Well, you can't help but feel peaceful after playing even 2-3 minutes of dulcimer. And she approached him. Of course, he was looking for an argument. And she said, what do you want to do? And he told her, and she said, why? And he told her. And she said, well, I have a suggestion. Why don't I support you in doing this, which is along the same lines of what you want, but is better. And if you don't like it, I'll support you in what you want to do. Problem solved. Gone, right? There was no, wait till your father comes home. There was no, we need to go to a family therapist. She got her mind out of it. And that's what Dulce meditation is. I'd been doing it all my life, but I didn't know what it was. So I just play and I listen to what comes to me. And they're very simple things. Today I used it, I thought. I woke up agitated about something. I couldn't even tell you what that was. And I was playing a little dulcimer, and what came to me when I was thinking about what should I do today? The thing said, do nothing and go hike. That's exactly what I did. And by the time I got back, it was like, I don't know what I was worried about. It doesn't matter because, it wasn't there anymore, And, the same thing happened with your podcast tonight. I was thinking, what should I try and say? And I was thinking dulcimering a little bit about it, and it said, just do it. You'll be fine. And so that was it. I went and made a cup of coffee and went about my business. So it works.
Yes. And I think that it's very interesting a lot of times. And of course, there's different ways of doing this. Getting out of our own way, getting out and being able to create space for the self-inquiry, or for however we want to do it, whether that is through an instrument or through a meditation or whatever it is, creating those spaces. Because a lot of times I see that people don't do it, and of course then all that one is doing is just using their mind and trying to analyze everything and trying to figure it out instead of dropping in and having the answers. And it's something that I often say this every time that I'm doing a sound healing session or a sound bath. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just open to the energy of the moment, and I play that. And I am not a musician or a trained musician. I just allow the energy to guide me. And I always find it that it's fascinating, the feedback of people afterwards, saying that something that I did or something that I said, or that it was exactly what they needed to hear. And for me nowadays is, of course, but 15 years ago, that was like, wow, like how, like asking myself, like, how did I do it? And it's like, well, I didn't do it.
Right.
I just allowed it. And I think that's an amazing thing about energy, and for me, that I connect a lot with sound, and with sound as energy, to allow it to be, and to allow, as you were saying before, and I think as I was saying, with a lot of artists and musicians, they say, I did what was already there. Like, it was already there. What you were saying about the that music, that song, that was already there. It was just that I just brought it into this space.
Yeah, everything's always there. It's just whether you get the right tap that you turn on to it.
Yes, beautiful. I wonder if you could share a little bit, Kevin, on how would one go about working with you and learning how to play the dulcimer. Is it an instrument that people can find easily?
So there's two ways. The easiest way is to email me at kevinroth.org@gmail. I guess you'll put a link in. I do have websites, but because of the Russia crap, my websites, they've attempted to hack them, so some people can't get them, but I can answer all emails. You may try the website and it could work. I think there's something where you say I'm a human or something like that. I don't know. But the website is kevinroth.org. And I offer a free consultation, 30 minutes if you want to work with me. And I also sell the dulcimers and give dulcimer lessons and dulcimer meditation if you want that too.
Beautiful. And yes, we will definitely have those links on the show notes so that everybody can access it easily. And lastly, Kevin, I wanted to ask you, what is one thing that you would love for everyone in the world to know?
That they're loved and that there is something that exists which is eternal. And I think it's a good thing. And if you can search for it earnestly, and it'll unfold for you. And the only other thing I can tell you is that if this discussion moved anybody who heard it in either your direction or mine, and you feel an urge to reach out, do it. Don't wait for it, because I don't know you that well, but neither you or I are the kind of people that will try and talk anybody into anything, because we don't want that. But if this resonated with your listeners, go for it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kevin. As you said, for everyone listening, we would love to know what resonated with you. We would love to know your experience with, whether that is with sound or music or any of the topics that we talked about during this episode. And once again, thank you, Kevin, for your time, for what you're bringing into the world, and for sharing that with us. And I look forward to listening even more of your music.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, and keep the sun shining over there.
Beautiful. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you all on the next time. Bye.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using #ConsciousAction and tagging @ConsciousActionNZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.